Hi, my name is April Stone, and I'm the second vice chair of the communications group with the Florida Business Law section. This video is going to be part of a series of getting to know our judges that are on our bench here in Florida. So our interview today is with the Honorable Judge Brown. Judge Brown received his JD from Stanford University Cumberland School of Law. He also has a BS in chemical engineering, pulp and paper science and technology from North Carolina State University. Before starting his legal career at Ackerman, where he was there for over 20 years, he also clerked for the Honorable Judge Funk. Chambers USA described Judge Brown as an attorney, as a deal maker, and an excellent advocate. Prior to joining the bench, Judge Brown was active in various bar activities. He's a former chair of the business law section of the Florida Bar and past president of the Jackson Bankruptcy Bar Association. Judge Brown is also a huge advocate for pro bono projects, has been an excellent mentor, attorney, and friend. And so I'm very excited about this opportunity to do this interview with him. How are you today, Judge Brown?
I'm great, April, and I'm excited that you're doing this, and always great to see you. Thank you for this program, and to everybody at the business law section for putting this on. I think it's great.
Okay, perfect. So, and you're one of our newer judges. I know your investiture is coming up at the end of September. We're all excited for that. You know, due to COVID, we got to push that back a little bit. So I know that you're not the newest judge, but how has your time been on the bench so far?
I'm blessed. I really has been great. The resources to get you up to speed and get you trained are unbelievable. There's been Zoom training and in-person training, and then all of my colleagues are always there to answer questions. And so I'm just a great support system. I have very good support in my chambers team, and I just couldn't be happier.
Awesome. What do you miss most about private practice?
I had run into Bill Shafino in Tampa a couple of months ago, and it was kind of like, the thrill of kind of being in the game for representing somebody, and the adrenaline rush for being in court. But there's different parts of this position that kind of replace that. So I think that I miss it a little bit, but that'll be going away soon for sure. So.
Awesome. Okay, Judge. So our first question, where did you grow up and how did you get to Florida?
So I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and then my family moved out to where my dad was raised, in a small town called Sharon, Georgia, where my mom is the mayor right now. The county is so small, Tolliver County, Georgia, at that time didn't even have a high school. So I went to high school in Washington, Georgia. I kind of say I grew up with the best of both worlds, and had a little experience to Atlanta as a relatively large city, and then to the country where I was able to work on a horse farm and do all kind of stuff. So that was good. I went to NC State and got an engineering degree, and then did that for a little while, and then law school, where I got a clerkship with Judge Funk, and that's how I got to Jacksonville, and ended up loving it down here, and have been here now for over 22 years.
Awesome. So who were your role models and heroes growing up?
Oh, obviously I had good, strong parents that kind of set high expectations. That was good. My mom's father, my grandfather, was a Holocaust survivor who, kind of was the American dream, and came over after World War II, and ended up being relatively successful. And so he was someone that I had looked up to for a work ethic. My father was a lawyer. I got to, be at a closing table. He did mostly real estate work, but at a young age, I was at the closing table, and just had a lot of people. It takes a village, especially with me, to get me to where I am. So there's just so many people. I've got a long list. I'll thank my investiture in a couple of weeks too. But I had really good coaches and teachers, and professors all along the way. And then obviously Judge Funk's been great as well. So.
Awesome. When you were a kid, did you want to be a lawyer when you grew up, or what did you want to be?
I had no idea what I wanted to be. I think I kind of rebelled against being a lawyer since my father was doing it. I was good in math and science, and so I ended up going to get an engineering degree. And then after I worked in that field for a while, I figured out that that's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I went back to law school, and I think it all balanced out and worked out in the long run. So.
Awesome. And can you tell us about your journey a little more about your journey to becoming an attorney and the career path that you chose?
So as an engineer, I actually was doing engineering kind of law. I thought I wanted to be an environmental lawyer. I actually had spent time working in Ketchikan, Alaska, doing environmental work for a company there. And then for a law firm, I had some clerkship offers up there. And then I booked my bankruptcy class my third year, and had met my now wife. And so the distance to Alaska and back was not going to be so good. So luckily Judge Funk made an offer, and that worked out. And that's how I'm here today. And then Akerman was opening up a Jacksonville office about the same time as my clerkship was finishing up. And so I got in there relatively early, and, stayed there for over 20 years, which is somewhat unusual nowadays. So
it's incredible. What career advice would you give to your 21-year-old self?
That's a tough one. I think to maybe be a little bit more patient and take in the moments as they come. Probably, looking back, a lot of people would say that kind of thing. I'll leave it with that. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I love to learn still. So there's different things. Maybe I could have bought some Amazon and Apple stock. I don't know, along those lines. So
I get that. So, and what is a piece of attorneys that you'd like to give to attorneys who appear before you?
So, you're seeing things now kind of new from this different lens of being more prepared. It's still somewhat surprising to me, like even in the written papers, that they're not, I'll call it as tight as I'd like to see it, like, more focused, cite some actual case law. And then, when you're in court, anticipate what the issues are going to be, and just really be prepared. I had thought about it, Judge Glenn would say, who I considered a mentor and miss dearly, but he would, say often that the good lawyers get issues resolved that are supposed to be resolved, and then they present very well and advocate for their positions for their clients, for the ones that, that really should be brought to the court that can't get resolved. And so I think that's good advice. So.
Thank you. Judge Glenn was one of my favorites too. So, what do you consider your biggest career and personal achievement?
Well, this position, as far as a career achievement, is great. One of the other achievements was right before I did get the appointment, I was also, I think it's elected or chosen to be part of the American College of Bankruptcy, which I view as a very prestigious group, and I'm honored for both of those positions. And then, just, I guess on the personal side, just lucky to have two really great kids. And, that's, I'll leave it at that for now. So they're, very good family that's taken some work, but I'm very proud of it. So.
That's good. So we got into this a little more, but why bankruptcy law? What do you love most about bankruptcy law?
I always liked business. So I love my commercial classes. I had been a big fan of the stock market going way back. Even when I was an undergraduate, I started to buy stocks, some of which I still own today and have to put on the new federal financial disclosure forms, which were a lot of fun. But No, it's just I was always drawn to business. I nerdily would read business books, like without being any part of my college classes or law school classes. I'm, in business magazines, and so I was always just drawn to it. And so bankruptcy, while there's a huge, consumer side that is interesting to me as well, the business side to me was always fun, and I loved it when I had the opportunity to work on the business type of cases. So
Awesome. And who do you think was the most influential with inspiring you to become a bankruptcy judge?
Oh, Judge Funk for sure. In my 2 years clerking for him and then practicing before him, and then just, really the other judges that I got to practice before, many of which I got to work on matters with the business law section and other bar associations, and get to know. And I would say probably 10 or so years ago, I kind of said, hey, this would be something nice to do, knowing that private practice was great, and I always told myself that if I didn't get an appointment to be a judge, that I would have been happy just continuing to practice law. But that's kind of where it started. I don't think I really thought about it until probably 10 or so years into my private practice. So
Perfect. And what's your favorite bankruptcy code provision?
So I think people love to say the automatic stay, which that's great. I like the cram down provisions, 1129B. I think that because you can use those a lot. And then I guess I'll leave it with the stay and cram down provisions. So
No, section 105.
I'm really, still figuring that one out. So we'll see how many written orders I have that use section 105. It's probably just a good idea to use section 105 on every order just to throw it in.
Exactly. What would you describe as the most important value you bring to the court?
I think, the patience. I am, maybe this won't stick for the long term, but I'm trying to be really prepared when I go into court, so that nobody's wasting time, so that I've kind of briefed myself and up to speed. And then really focused, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later on, just trying to be kind across the board to everybody that comes before me, and make sure that they're being treated fairly, win, lose, or draw. And that includes, the parties and the lawyers. So I'm not going to say that I'm perfect there, but it is a focus point.
Awesome. What was the last concert you attended?
The last concert, I believe, was Dave Matthews a month or so ago. It's hot right now. It's hot. I've got to the point where I like outdoor concerts, not so much because of the pandemic, just because there's a lot of good outdoor venues. And so Dave Matthews came through Jacksonville, and got to see his band. And I had seen them before they got popular back in college a long time ago. So it's interesting to see kind of how they've evolved. So
my husband and I were supposed to see him in West Palm, but somebody got COVID, and we weren't able to go to the show. So
another local favorite is the Tedeschi Trucks band. And I could, they're Jacksonville based, and they do their special band. So
awesome. What bad or trashy TV show will you admit to watching?
Oh, there's a couple. Always Sunny in Philadelphia has got to be at the top of the list. Yes, I'll leave Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So, but I've watched some others. So,
what about The Office?
I love The Office. I love Parks and Rec. So those shows are good. I wouldn't call that's not trashy.
No,
that's high quality, right?
That's high quality.
Yeah.
So what is the last movie you watched?
The last movie I watched, I'm having a hard time remembering. Oh, so I rewatched recently The Fisher King with Robin Williams, who I loved, and he was a special talent, and Jeff Bridges. And that was coming off watching that series. I think it's on Hulu, but I'm not 100% sure. Jeff Bridges did the Old Man series that I think got cut short for some reason, but that was pretty well done as well. But yeah, The Fisher King was a good one to kind of rewatch. So
perfect. So when you're on a road trip or a plane ride, what do you like to listen to?
It could be anything. I mean, it literally, I will go from listening to jazz to blues to different playlists with it could, be any number of things. Sometimes I'll listen to one album all the way through, and sometimes it's just can be completely random. So
Do you like any podcasts?
I love Criminal, the podcast. So one of the producers is Lauren Spohr. She spoke to our inner court here a couple years ago, and her father is a personal injury lawyer who focuses on aviation cases. But Lauren produces Criminal for many years, and it's not like an area where I practiced in, so it's interesting to me to kind of learn different aspects of that show. So it's a good. I'll take it and go for long walks and listen to that podcast. So
Awesome. Where would you like to go for an ideal vacation?
anywhere. I mean, I love traveling. I still want to go to Greece. When I was chair of the business law section, it was right on the right at the start of the pandemic, so we canceled a Greece trip. So I guess that one's on my list. But no, I've been fortunate to be able to travel a lot, and I would go anywhere. So
Perfect. And what is the last book you read?
So I pulled out. There's two that I've kind of worked on. The last one that I finished that was really long was this Mark Helprin, A Soldier of a Great War, of the Great War, which is it's a long read, but once you get into it, it's really well written and good. And then I love Kurt Vonnegut. I had been in Indianapolis recently where there's a cool large mural of him. And I think I've read everything that he had done, except there was this collection of speeches and talks that he'd given that's called, you can't really see it with the light, If This Isn't Nice, What Is? And so those are kind of two things. The Vonnegut book I'm still finishing up, but it's a good read. So
Perfect. And do you tend to read more fiction or nonfiction?
I'll do a little bit of both, but probably more nonfiction.
And one book that you would recommend that everybody reads in their lifetime, and why?
One book I recommend everybody reads in their lifetime, and why? God, I don't know. There's
You can pick a couple.
There's nothing that comes to mind, really. I mean, there's so many great books that are out there. I mean, I tend to like different authors, and then I'll end up trying to read everything that they've written. So like, Vonnegut, Updike. I think I read most of T.C. Boyle's stuff, Tom Robbins, Mark Helprin stuff I've read a lot of. I've kind of gone back and read a little bit of Eudora Welty recently. Some of the really top-notch biographers, I'm forgetting some of their names, but I like their work and have been fortunate to see some of their talks either online or in person over the years. So it would be hard for me to recommend just one book. So
Okay. And what is your favorite dish and your favorite drink?
Oh, I like hot tea for my favorite drink, since I'm gonna try to behave here and judge, although I think most people would know that it might be something a little different depending on what you catch me at. And favorite dish. Again, it's not, I'm somewhat of an indiscriminate eater, so I like fresh fish. I do. I like so I like to go fishing, and I like it when I actually catch a nice fish, and then I'll kind of do everything nuts to bolts. I'll catch it, clean it, and cook it. So
Perfect.
There's some fun to that. So
and can you share an example of a hurdle or an obstacle that you experienced as an attorney and how you overcame it?
Well, I mean, I think early on in my career, I would have been more susceptible to getting drawn into what I'll call aggressive opposing counsel. And I think over time, I learned that that's just not good way to practice. It's not productive. I mean, you're going to have that. There's just going to be some people over there that can't get out of their own way and feel like it's just they have to be that way to practice law. But I think I was fortunate to be around enough people that I practiced with and that I consider mentors that, you know, kind of you take the high road, and if you just have a difficult counsel, you just take your case to court and, you know, present it the best way you can, and not to get drawn in. I used to say that, you know, the email thing would just, it's so bad. Like you just throw these barbs out there, you don't even think about it. And so I started to implement I would call it a sleep on it rule, where I would, you know, draft an email in response, and then I would just not send it and come back the next day and either not respond at all or tone it way back. And so that's, you know, lessons that I learned along the way. So
those are very, very excellent lessons. So, yeah, those are just excellent. But and just with pro bono, I know that you're very passionate about pro bono. Is any specific project when you were before you took the bench, anything that you're working on now that you'd like to, you know, just highlight on?
sure. Well, I mean, before I took the bench, I just tried to have one active pro bono matter going at all times. I just felt like that was just the right thing to do for our profession, and would hope that other attorneys would consider that. But I was, you know, you get a lot of fulfillment in helping people through those problems, and there's a great need out there for that. So to pick one particular client that I helped along the way, you know, I would help not-for-profits to get reorganized if they had some financial issues. That was always satisfying. But I would help individuals as well that were facing, you know, whatever it typically involved financial issues. I was fortunate, you know, one time to help work with a victim with our local state attorney's office and help that victim through some financial issues and just a tough situation. But and then since then, I think, you know, some people don't think it's part of the role of the court. Maybe, I don't know, but you know, I still plan to be focused on trying to help support pro bono efforts as best I can. And one of the things, and I'm excited to talk about this more, but I've been working with a great team of people across the Middle District of Florida to establish a virtual pro bono consult platform where unrepresented parties in bankruptcy can hit a link on a notice that they should be getting in the next couple of weeks. We should go live. And then that link will allow, you know, we already have 200, I think, volunteer attorneys. Hopefully we'll double, triple that number in the next couple of months. And then those attorneys will provide a virtual consults, you know, 30 minutes. They're not taking on a client. And like I said, I could talk for days about this, but excited for that to go live. I didn't really realize when I got to the bench how much time and resources your unrepresented, you know, pro se parties took up in, and it's not just this court, but it's, you know, through all courts. But in the Middle District Bankruptcy Court, we're consistently, you know, one of the top courts for having a percentage of pro se filers, unrepresented filers. And so hopefully we can do some good there. We'll continue to support all the in-person clinics as well. Those clinics do great work. And so hopefully we'll, you know, this will be one more tool that is available to people should they want to use it. So
very exciting. And before we sign off, is there anything else that you want to add?
So, you know, one of the things, like in the bankruptcy baby judge school, they call our classes cohort classes. And when we were finishing our training, John Cook, who's the executive director of the Federal Judicial Center, which they help implement the training, you know, did a presentation and it was great. But one of the things that he concluded with was the phrase to be kind. And so ironically, or I think it's ironically, but that phrase "be kind" has come out a couple different ways. One, like I said, Kurt Vonnegut before, he used that a lot, that, you know, to be kind to one another, it goes a long way. I was interviewing a general recently in connection with a Wounded Warrior project presentation that I was fortunate to be a part of. And I asked him if he had some advice for young kids that he would give. And he said, be kind. And so I think that it's something that we could kind of, try to hold in our arsenal to keep us grounded and, maybe make the world a little bit nicer place. So.
Well, Judge, I just, on behalf of the section, just want to thank you for your time and just the opportunity to get to spend some time with you and get to know you better. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, April, and thanks to the business law section, and we'll see everybody soon. Take care.